I want to talk to you about being brainwashed. Not like you guys are being brainwashed by BHN. That's a good kind of brainwashing. I mean the bad kind of brainwashing. Radicalized, bad kind of brainwashing. No, I had a video come across my Twitter feed today, and then I also saw some stuff with Brian Tamaki, and I went, it's interesting when you see that absolute disconnect between what people are saying and asking for and what the reality of the world is. So I want to bring up a couple of tweets here from Brian Tamaki. Brian Tamaki retweeted this out, I think it was today, and it's Marine Le Pen. Marine Le Pen. I will save France from the New World Order. Macron will be arrested. Now, I looked up Marine Le Pen, and the party she belongs to or belonged to
right?
was basically the National Front, rebranding itself. Couldn't get much more far right. We could, but anyway. Brian Tamaki says, now that's what you say, Chris Luxon, when you become a prime minister. Get out of globalization. Jacinda Ardern will be arrested. So Brian Tamaki, a so-called Christian leader, I say so-called because I don't see much of those teachings in his life, but a so-called Christian leader, tweeting out far-right ideology. And we're not talking about, how sometimes people go, oh, you're on the far right, and they're just conservative, but actual far right. And then I think on the same day, it's New Zealand's, this is from Brian Tamaki, New Zealand's term, the fed up fight from the right. Right has had enough of wrong. And this is what the comment that he's written. Globally, we see the far right taking back everything that is wrong in their countries. France, Belgium, Austria, and Germany have all had massive swings back to the right in political elections this past week. We need to take notice of this. Now, I want to read through a couple of the things that he says about patriots. He basically says the rise of nationalists is a good thing. Nationalists are patriots. And he goes on, here's one of the things, if you want to get a dog whistle, this is one of the patriots who want to take New Zealand back. He says, Kiwis are fed up with immigration taking over our country. I mean, he's not just tweeting out other people's far right stuff. This is far right stuff. This is
absolutely.
This is absolutely talking about media manipulation, yada yada yada. Now, and then he's got a little pitch down here as well. I think, okay, look, that's a real rant. I'm talking about exposing all the public agencies and all that kind of stuff. It's New Zealand's term, the fed up fight from the right. This is what he's talking about, right? So he's, on one hand, he's retweeting. And I'm actually saying that he's brainwashed because he's retweeting far-right ideologies, and then he's putting out his own far-right ideologies, whilst he also says this kind of thing about Israel. My and New Zealand's support is unwavering for Israel. Now, the reason I say he's brainwashed is, Chewy, do you want to educate New Zealanders as to what the far-right historically have done to the people of Israel? To the Jewish community? Where does the Jewish community typically sit in the far right ideology? So he's supporting the far right ideology. He's speaking out the far right ideology, and he's 100%, he's 200% supportive of the Jewish world. Chewy, can you see a juxtaposition there that you could explain to us?
Yeah, I can certainly see a pathway that many far-right groups that usually, anti-Jew, pro-Israel is a thing, which is baffling. Like, I just want to talk to that post that Brian's put out as someone that has tried his best to combat fascism in New Zealand for decades now.
Yeah.
To see something from someone like him to the following that he has makes my blood run cold. He is a fringe group. He is tweeting out far right fascist ideology. And some people might get it really confused that he's like, but if it can't be fascist if it's pro-Israel. Israel is fascist. What this has come from is anti-Islam, first and foremost. And from his evangelical side, there's the fact that Israel needs to set off the rapture or the end of days or whatever his particular brand of Christianity is hoping for. It's hopelessly fucked. It's all tied up in knots. He will, and we saw this with the anti-COVID stuff as well. These groups will happily ally with people that would detest them otherwwith.
Enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yep, you'll have white nationalist skinheads marching side by side with the brown faces of destiny quite happily, because in this particular instance they're allied against the same thing. And we see that internationally, and talking about Marine Le Pen and her terrible party. I made comment of Europe marching merrily back to fascism again. The same thing is happening in Germany at the moment with their far right party doing quite well. If you forget your history, it just keeps coming back around again to remind you.
Doomed to repeat it.
Brian, for all that we make fun of him for his overplucked eyebrows and just the absolute blindness that his followers have, and I guess we're going to position this into brainwashing. They are brainwashed. They are activated. They will non-critically follow what Brian and his cohort are telling them to do. We saw almost instant action out of there when it came to the rainbow crossings. They're quite happy to break the law. So, what's the next step of activation? He's been able to pull out hundreds of people for various marches. It just seems to be getting more.
Yeah.
So it is concerning. It is very concerning to me.
Right. Now, getting back into that brainwash conversation as well, some of you may have seen this that went around Twitter in the last couple of days, but I'll show you something else. What we're seeing here is a protest. And Hasidic Jews is the right word, isn't it, for the people with the hair down the side? That comes from an Old Testament scripture that talks about not cutting the hairs on the side of your face. So Hasidic Jews who are, as you can see by rainbow flags and Palestinian flags, are not happy with Israel right now. They are fighting for the civilians within Gaza, right? For the people of Palestine. Not for Hamas, but for the people within Palestine. You can't see here right now, but behind this gentleman here, there's an American girl with blonde hair. And she obviously is Jewish or is of Israeli origins, her parents or grandparents or whatever, probably Jewish. And she cannot understand how these Jewish men aren't 100% behind what Israel is doing. Now, watching her, and if you listen to us on the audio podcast, you'll have to come and have a look at about 39 minutes in. Watching her, you'll get to understand what being brainwashed looks like. She is genuinely confused. I did a little bit of study when I was in my late teens, early 20s around cults. And one of the things that happens with cults is one of the things that happens quite quickly is you get love bombed, which means all of these people are always really nice to you, and then you get surrounded by them, and then your whole world becomes them. Whether it's a religion or whether it's flat earth, all of a sudden you're flatting with these people, you're spending your Friday nights with, it's only that world. It is the definition of an echo chamber. And you can just see in this girl's reaction, she's just like, but you guys are Jews. I don't understand, like, generally. I'll play it for you now, and you'll see what I mean.
We come from Israel. Our people come from Israel. You have come your people.
Zionism is a political movement which is causing bloodshed. It is a bloodshed.
That's where our family is from. I'm from Israel. How did you hold that flag?
This is because the actions of the Zionist people, they are responsible for bloodshed.
What are you talking about? That's where ancestors.
We lived in a beautiful
What
peace.
flag is that? How can you say that? You're a Jew.
We lived in a beautiful peace with Palestinian people for hundreds of years.
How can you say that? You're not a Jew. You're not a Jew. How dare you?
When Zionism
You're
came
a
in,
Jew
when
to say
Zionism
that.
came in, they closed their blockchain.
Wow.
Closed rivers of blockchain.
Yeah, like it's if you mess with my worldview, a person who's saying what you're saying can't be a Jew. Therefore, even though I'm looking at you, you're not a Jew. So it's this idea of the words jumped out of my head about this idea that you find the narrative you want. Motivated cognition. You have a narrative and it goes A plus B equals C. C is the answer. C is that Jews all support Israel. So if B proves otherwise, you still have to figure out a way to get to C, which is Jews support all Israel. Therefore, you can't be a Jew. So they come to the same conclusion. It's a psychological issue. They can't change their conclusion, which is all Jews support Israel. So therefore, if you don't support Israel, you're not a Jew. You can't have it any other
You
way.
see
And
the math happening in real time there.
yeah, and I actually I actually feel quite emotional and sorry for her, because this is what it looks like to be in a cult. I'm going to play some more of it. I know it's a lot of screaming and stuff, but it's just this is what it looks like to whether it's the disinformation dozen and COVID, or whether it's Brian Tamaki, or whether it's whoever this woman is following. This is what it looks like to be completely ensconced in a belief process that is false.
How can you say that you're Jewish? How can you shame your own people?
Who is a Jew?
We're Jews. This is our people.
We're all Jews here. He was against Judaism.
We're all Jews here. All right?
Yeah, so how are they saying that?
Because they believe in God. Jewish, I'm standing it.
I don't want that.
That's our country.
And the Talmud says it's not our country like that.
That is our country. How dare you say that about our own people? What's wrong with you?
Lots of listening happening there.
Say again.
Lots of listening happening there.
Yeah.
But like it's a real exchange of views.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's she's so brittle about her position. It's broken her.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
I don't think the comment there, she genuinely can't comprehend. Yes, it comes across as completely genuine. She can't.
Yeah.
She can't get there. It's like I think if most people have a position that they've thought about and reached to, I had that problem sometimes. I can't comprehend how that farmer that we saw earlier cannot look at all of the evidence that this is real.
Yeah.
Like I don't see that. It doesn't break me in the way that Sam based my personality around it.
Yeah.
Her whole identity is tied up in this idea of Israel as a state.
Yeah.
Represents all Jews.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
It's also, it makes me think about something you said last night about, you said, England is not it's not the old country for you. New Zealand is yours. I'm pretty sure she has an American accent. I could be wrong. This looks like America to me. I could be wrong, but she sounds American. And if she's American and she's got that position that this is our country, it kind of also goes to that, that idea of how much hold over you I quite adhere to, and I quite link into the Irish culture. I was born here, but my mother was born here as well, but both her parents born in Belfast. So, but I would never be like, this is my country, this is what are you doing? Because it's not. New Zealand's my country, and I have a connection to that part of the world. I could be wrong, so we should shut up, because maybe she is born in Israel, but it seems to me that she's American, saying this is our country. But anyway,
so when it comes to Israel, and again, if people know better than I, please shout it in the chat and correct me. Israel has this fundamental right of return for anybody of the Jewish faith. Like that was something that came about post World War II, that it didn't matter what citizenship you were. If you were Jewish, you can come to Israel, you can be a citizen of Israel. It's quite a thing now that if you're Jewish and you've registered with, that they call American citizens up to serve in the IDF. You British citizens up to serve in the IDF to defend the Jewish homeland. And that's something that like America, for some reason, fucking allows. They wouldn't allow that to happen for any other country but Israel. So yeah, it is this whole thing. And of course, if you go over there, you're indoctrinated. You know, if you just went to Jewish schools and that sort of thing, and they were very pro-Israel, you're brought up with that from very young, and that's always been a thing. You know, if you can get the child, you have them for life. You know, you can build those very strong, like, don't let those beliefs bend. You know, you just dig in, and I think this is what this woman has just run into, is something that is really just, if you don't bend, you break, and I think this has broken her. She can't get there. She doesn't have the mental flexibility to understand that there is another point of view from someone that shares nominally her faith.
That bending and flexing thing you're talking about, it makes me think about, I've had this community, I made a resource once, which was like a debate program called Elephant TV. It was aimed at churches, and it was for talking about the elephant in the room, the sticky issues. It's online, you can go check it out. But I had a conversation about, some Christians believe the world was made in 7 days. Other Christians believe that the world has been here for 4.5 billion years and evolution, that kind of stuff. So we had them on. But what I found out very, very quickly was those kind of 7-day creationists, because they told me, they were like, but if this falls over, then everything else might as well be untrue. So that's how they, you're talking about that flexing, right? That's that they're so rigid that if it's wrong on page 1, for want of a better word, then why believe any of it? So they have to be that rigid. And I see it in this. It's like, hang on, she feels like that if any of these beliefs are wrong, then everything's wrong, and so you have to stay rigidly to that one belief.